Oh, hey, funny meeting you here. Just going to see Fantastic Four. I'm jerked out. It's been a while. A lot of stuff in my life has happened. Uh, I won't bore y'all too much with it because I do want to make this video shorter so I can get it out to y'all quicker. Short and sweet answers. I went on vacation back to back for basically a whole month. And I'm just now trying to get everything back together. I've been procrastinating what kind of video I want to upload next. I mean, it's been 3 months since I uploaded my first video and the Fan Expo video. I have been working in the background on some stuff. I already said on the last video, I believe, that I didn't want to promise y'all anything anymore because not only do I disappoint you, the viewer, with making promises that I can't keep, I also just disappoint myself and not going through and finishing those projects. So yeah, if I make a video, I make a video. So here we are. But considering that, I want to review the Fantastic Four movie. I was going to do Superman, but as I was writing the script, I was writing the script like way after I watched the movie. I saw it 2 times, and I feel like I need to write them like right after I see them, so it's fresh in my mind. It also helps that I've seen it in the past 3 days, each day, back to back. So I've seen it 3 times now. Anyways, let's get into the review. Before we do that, though, I do want to show off some of the merch I've acquired. Got this cool Mr. Fantastic popcorn bucket. I was going to get the one of Herbie, the robot, the goat, and the character that carried the whole team, by the way. Fun fact, he's also voiced by the same guy who does General Grievous and all the battle droids from Star Wars. It's a fun tidbit for you. Also got these at Target, the Fantastic Four Pop-Tarts. Now, they had re-released the blueberry flavor, which has been discontinued for 6 years. And I was trying to find that one, but they didn't have it in the Fantastic Four packaging. So, next best thing was strawberry. I mean, they still taste good, but would have been cool to have the blueberry since their main color is also blue. So, and then obviously the main piece I got is this cool Fantastic Four jacket. Only really able to see the top part. You'll probably see the bottom half later. Only issue I have with this jacket is that the logo, I wish it was in the center. I don't even mind that if it would get messed up with the zipper. And I also wish there was more of a collar. But that was my big issue. But a nitpick is that it has little pockets. And I don't know. I just feel like it makes the jacket look a little weird. But that's besides the point. Let's get into the movie review.
Hey, you!
Who? Me?
Yes, you! Do you want to be really cool?
Yeah.
Do you not want to be a loser?
Hey!
Hey, just saying.
I mean, yeah.
Then subscribe to Action Jackson Studios.
Who?
Action Jackson Studios. The YouTuber?
I mean, if it will make me cool and awesome, sure.
If you want to be cool and awesome just like me, then you should subscribe and like Action Jackson's videos. His channel is pretty cool and it'll make you awesome just like me.
So, to start off, I'm just gonna go by how the movie goes and story. Most of it is positive. I have like very tiny nitpicks for the movie. And I'm kind of comparing it to Superman since they released within a week of each other. And it's nice to have a little competition from DC and Marvel, because now Marvel's got to be like, oh shoot, we got to make good movies again, or everyone's going to start liking DC and we're not going to make money. So they're having to take themselves seriously now. I'd like to start off saying that I think this movie does the whole, oh, we've been superheroes for blank amount of years way much better than Superman does. Because, like I said, I'm going to be comparing Superman to this movie. Superman takes place 2 years, or, well, it takes place as Superman has been Superman for 2 years now. And the movie feels more like a sequel to a Superman movie that we haven't seen before, like a deleted David Corn Sweat movie that we'll never see. And I just wish we saw the origin story, because they make it the focal point of the movie for the story, and they just, like, I wouldn't even mind if it was like 2 minutes. You don't have to make it a huge part of the story. Just like briefly show it or explain it. I mean, they kind of do, but I think they could have done it better. And that kind of goes into my next point, is that this movie is so well written that all the plot points just synchronize and it feels very solid. Unlike Superman, I felt like Superman was bouncing all over the place with different plot points. I may sound like I'm dogging on Superman right now. I loved Superman. I thought it was a good movie. I don't think it's the best Superman. I think the OG Christopher Reeves movie is the best rendition, and it always will be, because Christopher Reeves is the GOAT. He is the embodiment of Superman. Rest in peace. And Fantastic Four just does the whole, like, it maintains what message they're trying to convey way much better than Superman does. Because Superman just felt really watered down, and this is kind of like a Superman review. This video is like my Fantastic Four / Superman review. I don't hate the little monologue that Superman had towards the end of the movie, where he's talking about how he's like any other human being, how he has all these emotions that Lex Luthor has. He loves, he cries, he gets angry. But James Gunn doesn't let the serious scenes breathe. He has to crack a joke. I think he Guardians 1 and 3. I'm not a fan of 2.
What? No, all right. I know that sounds bad.
I feel like Guardians 1 and
Aesthetic
3 of like
do
the
that really
60s
well,
futuristic
where they let the
technology,
serious moments breathe.
I absolutely
so you
love it. Fully take it in and
feels so
let
unique.
it sink in. But
It's
I feel
just
like
a
Superman
breath of fresh
is
air
trying to
to
rush
see
everything.
a movie have
And the Superman
kind of
monologue
aesthetic.
gets ruined by Krypto just absolutely dogging on Lex Luthor. I think it would have been way more interesting if Superman conveyed that he is human and that he feels all these human emotions like anger, and give him like a light punch on the jaw to show him like, I feel what you feel. I'm angry that you tried to kill the people I love. Going off of that, the Fantastic Four Going to a different DC movie, the Batman does that really well, where they build like their own aesthetic for the movie, like the gritty grime of Gotham. Like you truly feel like it's a crime-ridden city. While the Fantastic Four, New York City feels very futuristic, very clean, very polished, because the Fantastic Four save the day all the time. They always try and improve the Earth and just the entire world. I'm just going to go character by character now. We're going to start with Reed Richards over here. Now, originally, in the trailers, I was a little cautious about Pedro Pascal being casted as the lead man, Reed Richards, smartest man on Earth. It's not that I don't think he could act like that. It's just that I'm not used to him acting as this kind of character. He does it really well. After seeing the movie, I'd say he is probably my second favorite main character in the movie. I'll talk about my favorite later after I go through the whole team, because surprisingly, my favorite character isn't one of the Fantastic Four members. Susan Storm, I'd say for a certain point, she's the main character.
Family.
And I like that, because she gets really bad treatment from the original movies. They treat her like an object, and it's nice to see her get that kind of redemption, is the word I'm looking for. So Susan Storm, like I said, is, I'd say, the main character for most of the movie. Obviously, it's Reed, because he's the leader of the Fantastic Four, but Susan, I'd say, she's the glue that keeps them together. You really get that sense of family from this movie, and I love it so much. Like, I know it's cheesy, Don Toretto, whatever, but it really hits that emotion so well.
You're late.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, what do I mean? You're late for dinner.
Yes, we are.
You late?
I just said that.
Are you pregnant?
What? You're gonna be the best mom in the world. And you are gonna be the best dad. Just kidding. You are out of your depth. We are gonna be the best uncles ever.
Seeing them all kind of like banter off of each other and having that sweet little moment where they realize Susan and Reed are having a child is just so sweet. Going on next to the Man of Fire, the Human Torch, aka Johnny Storm. I'd say he is the one I'm most surprised about from this movie. But Johnny really surprised me, because usually he's the cocky womanizer of the group, and I wish they kind of explored that more. That is one of my nitpicks, is since the movie is such a big movie, because, you know, it's focusing on Galactus trying to eat the world, it's a cosmic problem. They can't really focus on the small things, like Human Torch being a womanizer and very cocky. But I wish they explored that more. Maybe, like, since the origin story of John and Sue is that their mother died in a car crash, and their dad was never the same afterwards, and so that kind of affected their childhood. And then their dad shortly died. So maybe Johnny's cockiness, his humor, cracking jokes all the time, is a side effect of his upbringing. And maybe that's why he's such a womanizer. It's kind of like a Bruce Wayne act, where he's putting that facade on to make it look like he's really happy, but really he's just really depressed deep down. I wish they explored that more to make him more fleshed out, because to me, I felt like Johnny, they didn't really know what to do with him, because they have a big scale villain, and they can't really do that kind of subplot in this movie without it feeling unnecessary. They basically treat him like a second Reed Richards, because Reed, the main movie, like the whole movie, Reed is trying to figure out, how do I stop Galactus? And that's basically all he's doing the whole movie, and also worrying about Susan Storm having their child. So Johnny kind of has to catch the slack of Reed Richards, and he has to be the second smartest man in the room. I do think it's an interesting side that we never get to really see of Johnny, is that he loves space so much, and obviously the whole Fantastic Four are all scientists, so it's kind of cool to see that aspect of Johnny being kind of nerding out, like how I am, but I wish we got to see the Johnny that we all knew, or just explore why he acts the way he does. Lastly, the heart of the Fantastic Four, Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. Now, I'd say this is probably the character I'm most disappointed with in the movie. Nothing against Eben Moss, who plays The Thing. He was fantastic.
Say that again?
I love The Thing. He's a sweetheart. But they just don't give him anything to do in this movie, and he just kind of feels like a secondary character. Now, keeping that in mind, I do love the banter that Johnny and Ben have in this movie, because when you're watching the original with Chris Evans, Human Torch, their banter is really mean-spirited, and in this movie it feels more brotherly, and I really like that aspect. They feel like cool uncles, and I really like that aspect of the movie. There was supposedly some deleted scenes, mainly of The Thing. They kind of touched on the aspect of Ben being depressed and not liking how he looks, because he thinks, oh, who's gonna love someone that looks like me? I'm a monster. They like briefly touched on that like part of his story, but like I said, the movie's so focused on Galactus and telling his story that they don't really have time to show that. And I feel like every character had something to do besides him, and it was just a little disappointing. Silver Surfer. No, this isn't the one they use in the movie. This is Norrin Rad, I think. The one we see in the movie is Shalabal. This movie justifies the change, and I actually really loved this Silver Surfer even more than the really cool version from Rise of the Silver Surfer. The Silver Surfer in this movie is easily my favorite character. I found her so interesting, and whenever she's on screen, she just gave me chills.
Herald his beginning, I herald your end. I herald Galactus.
This is spoilers for the most part, so click away off to the next segment. Or in the movie, Silver Surfer has the ability to phase through objects like walls and stuff. And so when they go and meet Galactus, the Fantastic Four, they find out the only way he's willing to not eat Earth is if they give up Franklin, since Franklin is the most powerful being in the universe. And so, obviously, they're like, hell no! And so they hightail it out of there. But Silver Surfer is like, I ain't letting you go anywhere. And so Silver Surfer chases them as they're trying to escape. And Silver Surfer is literally faster than light because of the surfboard. And so as they're escaping, Silver Surfer phases through the spaceship and tries to grab the baby from Sue's stomach, and like phases through her stomach, but they like light jump out of there before Silver Surfer can grab her. And that scene gave me chills. It was so awesome. And then the next scene is them trying to hightail it away from her as they're in the light speed tunnel. And so Johnny has to like, they didn't have to do this, by the way. I think it's really cool that they did. But since they're in like this wormhole, they like light gets disrupted and it like spirals. So whenever he shoots something, it doesn't go straight, it spirals. So Johnny has to calculate where he has to shoot to knock the Silver Surfer off. And so they eventually have enough time to jump out, and they decide to trick the Silver Surfer into chasing them into a black hole. And seeing her like surf off the like sand coming from the black hole, and then her kind of like reaching out and trying to get out of the black hole, that was so awesome. Her backstory, I felt like we could have seen a little more from it. It just made me more intrigued with her character, because they explained that she's from this planet that Galactus was going to eat, but she said, I'm an astronomer, I can help choose out what planets for you to eat that are best for you to eat, but I'll only go if you sacrifice my planet. And he's like, okay, I'll make you my herald. And then he makes her a Silver Surfer, gives her the surfboard, and Johnny uses all these audio pieces that they found from space of her saying, die with yours, in her own language, and he deciphers that, and that's how he figures out that she's from this planet, and Galactus spared her. But he uses all the audio from the planets that Galactus did eat, and you just hear like all the screams of the people like dying, and she has like an emotional shock, and she just like flies away. I love that scene so much too, where it's her silhouette, but it's like against the moon. Cinematography was so good in this movie. Same with the music. Going on to Galactus. Now, Galactus was terrifying. And I am glad. This is another positive I have for the movie. They embrace the comic book weirdness, and they don't care. I think for Galactus, at least, they do that. For Reed, they need to go full on into his stretchy powers, but I'll go into that later. Galactus, though, that first shot where they meet him, this is spoilers again, and it's you see a really back shot, and it's just like the tiny silhouettes of the four of them, and then Galactus's eyes glow, and it's just the eyes. I don't know his last name, but Ralph something. His voice was so good as Galactus. My mom kept telling me that was the lowest he's ever gotten his voice for, and whenever he spoke, like the whole theater shook. And I love that. He just commands your attention. You get that feeling of like desperation, and like you don't really know what's going to happen in this movie. Is the planet going to get eaten? Are they going to save the planet? Are they going to have to go to Earth 616 with the main Marvel heroes because their planet gets eaten? Like, you don't know what's going to happen. And I like that. It's not predictable. I think I'm going to go ahead on to my spoilery section of the movie. The final battle, or the final act, I should say, felt very rushed to me. So it's the beginning where they set up the Fantastic Four. That was amazing. I love that. They set them up really well and make you care about them like that. Like you feel like you've known these characters for a while. And then the second act, where they go into space, meet Galactus, and then come back to Earth, that was absolute cinema. That was peak. Like, out of the 3 times I've rewatched that is by far my most favorite segment. And then the final act, where they come back on Earth, the beginning part of it is pretty good. I like how they have to, it's very depressing, and the whole Earth is really counting on the Fantastic Four to handle this situation, because they've never had to experience this before, and the Fantastic Four are the only heroes they have. So everyone's looking up to them, and they don't know what to do, because they're not going to give up their child. That's ridiculous. But also at the same time, are they really willing to sacrifice the whole Earth? Seeing Reed be defeated, because he truly doesn't know what he can do, but it soothes love and care for Franklin and the whole world that inspires Reed to come up with a solution of teleporting Earth to the opposite end of the universe and finding a suitable galaxy system for the Earth. Now, on paper, that sounds like a ridiculous idea. Like, there's gotta be so many factors you gotta think into teleporting Earth. Like, you gotta find a suitable sun. You gotta find us a moon so all the tides in the ocean won't cause a bunch of tsunamis. Like, there's so many factors, but you kind of just have to roll with it because the movie's going by pretty quickly towards the final act. And so they build up these bridges that help build this barrier so they can fully teleport the Earth. And it's awesome to see, especially now. I don't really like to talk about current things, especially like on YouTube, because I watch these movies to escape. I play these video games to escape reality. And the Fantastic Four does something that I really like, where they show the Earth all come together for a common problem and all help each other. And I really like that message. But alas, Galactus is literally on the outskirts of Earth as they're teleporting the Earth away. And the Silver Surfer comes in after a month of being in the black hole because of time dilation. And she destroys all of the bridges except for the one in New York City at Times Square. And Johnny redirects her, and that's when he shows her all those messages of the people from the different planets that Galactus has eaten. That scene has amazing music, by the way. I think Alan Silvestri composed the music, but it's so beautiful and heartfelt. It fits this movie so well. After Silver Surfer and Human Torch talk, they're like, Human Torch asks if she can help defeat Galactus. And she's like, you can only help yourself. Get out of here from this doomed planet. And then that's like the last we see of her. And so they have to come up with another plan. And Reed figures out that if instead of teleporting the Earth away from Galactus, what if we teleported Galactus away from Earth? And so that's what they run with, but they have to have something to bait him to go to the bridge. And they have to choose Franklin, because that's the only thing he wants. And so this is where the movie, I feel like, is at its worst, because in the final battle, Galactus comes down to New York. They evacuated everyone under the city to this place called Subterranea with Mole Man, one of the Fantastic Four's lesser villains. It's like his kingdom, basically. But he's also like one of the most hilarious parts in the movie, where he's like, lay it on thick, Reed. I want to hear it. I want you to butter me up. That was so funny. Anyways, Galactus comes in, everyone's evacuated, and it's like a Tom and Jerry bait and switch, where they just swap out the baby carriage with Reed or Franklin in it, and they run it back to Baxter Building, but the Fantastic Four just kind of stands right next to where the little baby carriage that's not holding Franklin, and it obviously just looks like a trap, because Galactus already knows that they're not willing to give up Franklin. They should have acted like, oh, it's a final battle, kind of like how Thanos was going for the Infinity Gauntlet. They should have fought him more over Franklin to kind of sell that. Galactus figures it out that that's not actually Franklin. He goes to the Baxter Building, takes Franklin, and the Fantastic Four kind of have to regroup and figure out what to do. And Sue goes Super Saiyan. She uses her power to her fullest extent, but it takes attacks on her. It kills her. But this is my one nitpick in the movie, is that you feel this sense of togetherness and this sense of this family really cares for each other. But when they're fighting, it doesn't really feel like they know how to fight together as one unit. They're all trying to fight Galactus one-on-one. And that was my one big nitpick, is they're all trying to fight him one-on-one. Thing and Johnny kind of do it the best, where they're fighting with each other.
What time is it, Ben? No. What time is it, Ben? No, Johnny. Say it! I don't wanna! Say it!
Eventually, Johnny turns on the bridge, and then Sue pushes him into the black hole to teleport him away. And then they only have 37 seconds to get him into the black hole. So once they get him in, the Galactus comes back out, and they only have 10 seconds left. And so Human Torch is like, tell Franklin that his Uncle Johnny loves him. And then he rushes in to push Galactus back in. But right before he does, Silver Surfer bumps him out of the way, and Silver Surfer goes in and sacrifices herself. Now, when I was rewatching it for the third time, I was trying to check really hard if she really actually went into the black hole. And I might be copying, but I didn't see her go into the black hole. Because I do want to see more of her. I think she was honestly the most interesting character. I was very intrigued by her. If they want to do a movie, I'd be down. But honestly, I just want to see her in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars or something. I really liked her character. Anyways, after they defeat Galactus, Susan dies. And Reed comes to her attention. The Thing is holding Franklin as Franklin is crying. And Franklin wants to see Susan. And so the Thing lets Franklin onto her chest. And Franklin, being the most powerful being in the universe, brings her back to life, showing those extraordinary powers that Galactus was wanting. It ends happily ever after. They show a clip later where it's kind of in the aftermath where they go onto the show and they're debating about Franklin becoming part of the team and becoming the Fantastic Five. Now, for the post-end credits scene. The post-end credits scene here, surprisingly, doesn't follow the post-end credits scene from Thunderbolts, where it's the Fantastic Four ship coming to Earth 616, because this is an Earth 828, which is also the month and day that Jack Kirby, the creator of the Fantastic Four, was born. Anyways, Sue's reading a book to Franklin, and it's 4 years later. She finishes the book, reading the book to Franklin, and she goes to grab another book, and as she's coming back, Franklin is standing up with a hooded figure next to him holding a silver Doctor Doom mask. And that's where it ends. Now, where do I think this is going to lead into Doomsday? First of all, we got to ask the question of, is Doctor Doom scarred? Because usually in the comics, his backstory is that he goes on the same spaceship that the Fantastic Four does, and that's how he gets his powers. But at the cost of his powers, it burnt his skin, and that's why he hides his face behind the silver mask. Now, in other iterations, I've heard that he acquires his powers through different means, and sometimes he has the tiniest little scar right here, but his ego is so massive that he's oh, I look so ugly, my face is ruined, and that's why he wears the mask. It's because of his ego. And so, maybe he's kidnapping, or at least meeting Franklin for this point in the movie, because he's wanting Franklin to heal his disfigured face. I've seen some rumors that Doctor Doom is wanting to take on the disguise of looking like Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, and then he goes to Earth 616 to gain their trust, but he's actually Doctor Doom, and then he's going to backstab them. I personally think he's going to kidnap Franklin to combine all the worlds together, all the different multiverse Earths, to create Battleworld, and then you'll have Franklin rewrite history towards where he is ruler of Battleworld. Now, I don't know how he's going to convince Franklin to do all of that willingly. I guess we'll just have to wait and see until Doomsday. Reviewing-wise, now, there's 3 aspects that I really care about when watching a movie. Number 1, is the story good? Number 2, is it very rewatchable? Number 3, does it have a good message? And does it consistently keep that message and expand upon it? Now, touching on the story, I think the story is very tight and very perfect. It's very sound. Now, would I have liked to seen more from this movie? Yes, this movie's so good. I love it so much. I just wish. Say hi, Ellie. For the story, I think they do it really well. I would have liked to seen more. It's just that I don't think they wanted the runtime to be so long. I really do hope that they eventually show all the deleted scenes. I do think story-wise, some characters get the short end of the stick. Like I said, for the Thing, he has nothing to do in this movie, and unfortunately, it kind of lessens the story, in my opinion, that they don't really focus on the full family. It's mainly just Reed, Johnny, and Sue, and Franklin. Towards the end, the story, I feel like, tries to rush itself. They don't have a satisfying final battle, and I feel like that kind of ruins it a little bit too. But for the most part, it is very perfect. Now, for rewatchability, unlike Fantastic Four, I feel like Superman is really rewatchable. There is so many different things that you can miss out watching it the first time, and that is mainly because the movie is all over the place, which is a flaw. I'm glad Fantastic Four is not like that, but that doesn't mean Fantastic Four is not rewatchable. I think you should always see a movie at least twice if you liked it the first time, just to see, like, if you truly like it. Rewatchability is very important to me, because if you don't like it, seeing it the second or third time, I don't think that means you like the movie. I think it means you tolerate the movie, but you don't truly like it, if that's understandable. I think this movie is very rewatchable, mainly just because I love seeing these characters interact. This is the best iteration of them I have seen so far. I've only seen the movies. I haven't seen anything else. I haven't read any comics. This is the best thing I've seen them in, and I want more. So rewatching this kind of fills that hole for me. And honestly, rewatching it two times now. I've seen it 3 times. I loved it. I was a little iffy going into it the second time. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it the second time, but I just fell in love with it afterwards. I listened to the soundtrack. I got the Fortnite skins, and I was pumped going into the movie today. That's why I bought more merch. Got the popcorn book as well, and the Pop-Tarts. It's just fun. Overall message, going on to the next part. Story, I'd give it a 9. I think it's near perfect. I just think they could have tweaked Johnny a little more to be more like himself, how he is in the comics. It was nice to see him in a different light, being scientific and nerdy, but I also kind of just wish I miss him peacocking around, if that makes sense. The Thing also gets the short end of the stick. I would have really liked to seen more of him, and the final act was a little bit disappointing. Susan Storm's death was so predictable that she'd come back, not only because of the Thunderbolts post-end credit scene, which I think it is a cool post-end credit scene because it makes you wonder, did they save their planet? Did their planet blow up? I think it's a good post-end credit scene, but it goes to show you that they make out of it alive, their movie. And not only that, but the Doomsday casting, all the Fantastic Four are coming back. Vanessa Kirby is coming back. Joseph Quinn, Pedro Pascal, Eben Moss. They're all coming back. So any kind of sense and danger that they tried to make with the Fantastic Four, I just kind of felt was lessened because of the casting announcement. Does that mean I still didn't feel that sense of like tense and dread of Galactus? No, I felt that very much. It's just for Susan Storm's death, it didn't mean much to me because I knew she was going to come back. I'll give the story a 9. I was between 8.5 and a 9, but I'll give it a 9. It's just, it would have been 1 point higher if they just tweaked those things. For rewatchability, I'd give it an 8. The third time around, I noticed that obviously for jokes, it kind of gets old rewatching it over and over. You already know what kind of jokes they're going to crack. So your reaction is obviously going to be better the first time around than it was the third time around. But I was still laughing at some jokes, so I'll still give it an 8. I mainly rewatched it for, like I said, the story is just so good, and I loved seeing the interaction of the family themselves. So I'll give rewatchability an 8 out of 10. And finally, on to the message. The message of this movie is to love your family. It's a very basic message and theme of the movie, but they do it so well. Reed Richards is the smartest man alive. He's very dense. He can say things that he doesn't mean to say. He's just saying them because it just comes out of his head that way. Human Torch, Johnny Storm, is very arrogant, very brass, very cocky. He's in love with space, and he's a womanizer. Susan Storm is very much the glue and the mother of the team. She cares for everyone. And then the Thing is very much the heart of them. Everybody loves Ben Grimm. Human Torch, Johnny are their best friends. He's the godfather of their son, Franklin. And then he's also Reed's best friend since childhood. And he's also their pilot. And they just make them feel so real as a family. And like I said, I was glazing about that scene earlier about them at the Sunday dinner. But they just wrote those characters so well. And seeing the Thing and Johnny interact as brothers was so well. Seeing that, I haven't talked about this yet, but the scene where Reed is figuring out how to defeat Galactus, and he's talking to Franklin. He's like, I was so worried about testing to see if you'd look like me, that most parents want their child to be like themselves. But for me, I don't want you to be like me. I don't want you to have these cursed powers. I want you to be normal. And then he's like, but I don't need this machine. You are what matters itself. If you have powers, that's great. I still love you because you are my son. And I just love that scene so much. Overall, I'd give the message a solid 10. And I'd say you have to see this movie in IMAX at the least. This movie, to me personally, is my movie of the year. I'd probably do Fantastic Four. Thunderbolts and Superman are kind of at a tiebreaker, and then Predator Badlands is probably going to be my third. But yeah, this movie was fantastic. Please, if you haven't seen it, go watch it in theaters while you still can, and make your own thoughts. If you have your own thoughts and you have any opinions different from mine, please type so in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this movie. And yeah, I'll stop glazing. I'll see y'all when I see you.